Is China a safe country? Now, many people have asked this question and many people have made videos. Indeed, we have many YouTubers who have made videos about the safety of China, expats living in China. Is it a safe country to be in, to live in? And I would say yes, definitely. China is a country of about 1.4 to 1.5 billion people, okay, 1.5 billion people. It is a safe country if you consider all of those people living in densely packed, densely populated cities. You would expect the crime rates to be relatively high compared to other places. But actually we see the opposite. Now, there are several reasons for this, and I want to share really my own experiences of living in China for now 2.5 years. It's been a long time, 2.5 years. But I wanted to really just share with you my experiences of walking, more specifically in parks, urban parks, and also venturing to the countryside as well, going into the surrounding areas of these big cities. So I live in Qingdao in China, and this city is a massive city, about 7 to 8 or 9 million people living in this metropolitan area. Now, what I can say is that I can go to parks freely. I've been to many parks. I've just walked, maybe 10 o'clock at night, just walked around with no fear of anything or anyone. There aren't really any fears of encountering any kind of stray animals that might endanger you, or in fact encountering criminals, people who would want to maybe, mug you, rob you, this kind of thing. No such thing has happened. And that's in a park. In the West, we usually see parks as being these kind of, crime hotspots, the sort of centre of social deviancy, where people are, they take advantage of the darkened areas and the low lighting and the lack of people to commit crimes. Now, here it's the opposite. Here we find there are cameras absolutely everywhere, so if you were to commit a crime, you would easily be traced, recorded, and then that information would be given over to the authorities. So you can walk around with little to no fear of encountering any kind of criminal activity. Now, what I would say is that, when you're venturing into the further out places, so the places that are not in the centre of the urban centre, they're away from the centre, more towards the periphery of the city, you are likely to come across, you're more likely to come across things that you might not be used to in the cities. For example, you have cars that can travel at really ridiculous speeds. So if we're talking about safety from criminal activity, I would say you're still in the safe zone. But if we're talking about kind of recklessness and your chances of being afflicted by that, then actually, then we see that there is still a chance of you being unsafe. Now, all of this being said, I do have one story to share with you about a little adventure I had in the countryside. Now, this happened last year. I was at a beach party in quite a far away area of this city, so it's really the outskirts, it's the countryside, but it's a beach, and I would say it's maybe 20 minutes away from any really built up area, or maybe 30 minutes. So anyway, we were partying and it was fun, we were having a good time, and then it got to about 2 or 3 o'clock at night, and everybody else at the party decided to camp, stay there overnight. I had an emergency, so I needed to get back to my place, my apartment, which is located in the city, in the urban area. So I decided to bring up Didi, which is really a ride-hailing service over here, the Didi platform. and you can decide to hail taxis, regular taxis, or you can decide to hail DDs, dedicated DD drivers. Anyway, when I brought up the platform, I scanned and scanned and scanned, and there was no vehicle in sight. So my only option at this time was to walk for as long as possible before being scanned or before scanning one of these vehicles. So I ended up walking for about 2 to 3 hours before I finally found a taxi, which was already half full. And during these hours of walking and walking, I came across, well, I saw a lot of the city at night, or the countryside at night, and mainly it's construction work that goes on, you know, noisy construction work. So that was pleasant to see, but I saw dogs. I saw lots of stray dogs on the road, and on 2, 3 or 4 occasions I spotted a stray dog just in the middle of the road or on the path ahead of me, and really coming eye to eye with the dog, and the dog barking at me, and it was really quite a terrifying experience because I had no idea what the dog was capable of, what it would do next, and I decided to just stand my ground and keep walking ahead. And luckily the dogs, on all occasions, the dogs backed down. But it was really quite a terrifying experience on that particular occasion. Now, the chances of you actually coming across this, if you came to visit China, are, well, very low indeed, because most people who visit China come to the cities. They go to the cities, they stay in the built-up urban areas. And of course, this was an exception because I decided to go into the countryside and to be part of this occasion on the beach. But you do see a lot of dogs, just stray dogs, you know, running around in packs, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 dogs sticking together and just scavenging for food and things like this. But the chances of you being actually bitten by one, attacked by a pack or what have you, are very low in these places. So yeah, I've seen some horrific accident clips or some horrific crime clips of people committing crimes, targeted attacks on people, and this is generally, you know, revenge killings or things like this. Really awful stuff. And the same with the accident videos. You know, this is horrific stuff that you can see in China of accidents, you know, car accidents and whatnot. Chances are, if you don't drive, if you're an expat living in China, you're working here, you are doing a low risk job, then I would say that going for a stroll in the park is, you are going to you are not likely to encounter any kind of criminal wanting to take your belongings. But if you are crossing the road, then of course, like everywhere across the world, you are in a little bit of danger. You do take some risk with that. So I'm not here to give a black and white picture. I'm here to give the facts. I'm here to be nuanced in my views. And so when we talk about safety, something that goes beyond simple criminal activity, we go to navigating the highways and the roads, the pathways, and also to being in a low risk profession as well. It all depends really on how much risk you put yourself through when leaving the house. You can be a victim of a freak accident wherever you are. So you cannot just look at the statistics if you are thinking about coming over to China to visit or to live and to work, and look at the statistics and think, oh well, I'm probably not going to come to any harm here. But you have to look at the risk management, the risk, the percentages. You know, some places have lower risk, other places have higher risk. Over here it's lower risk, because of crime and such things. But it can also be your profession. Your profession also determines how at risk you are of coming under harm. So for people thinking about coming to China, people just interested in the safety of China, we can see that in public places, in public spaces, you're not likely to come to any harm, especially when it comes to criminal activity. You're less likely to come under assault by some kind of, robber or mugger than other places in the world. But when it comes to crossing the road, you are perhaps just as or slightly more at risk of coming to harm here. But yeah, it's all about managing your risk, and I would say to anybody doing their research, looking at the figures, don't just rely on those figures. Also it's down to experience of the person, and also it's down to acknowledging that chance encounters happen wherever you go. You can be in the wrong place at the wrong time wherever you are, and this can be something as random as happened in China a few years back. A woman falling out of, or jumping out of a hospital window after finding out she had cancer, terminal cancer. She decided to jump out of the building, and there was a man beneath, just on the ground level of the hospital. This woman fell and landed on him, and they were both either killed or in a critical condition in the hospital. So these things can happen wherever you go, and like I said, people who do not exercise restraint, who do not exercise care, diligence and responsibility, will inevitably be at higher risk of being what you would call unsafe. Alright, that's it from me, everyone. Thank you for watching, and let's grow this channel. This is all about China and my experience of living in China, and it would help me so much if you could support me on the channel. Okay, thank you for watching. See you next time.